Okay, so we just got back today from our road trip. We went from Colorado all the way to Pittsburgh and back. Everything was great until we got to Urbandale, Iowa, which, when using the supercharger, crazy things started to happen. So I'm going to have to break this down into parts. Otherwise, the video would be an hour long, and I'm sure you don't want to see that. So in this part two, I'm just going to show you the eras that we had from Urbandale through Chicago. And then maybe next week, I'll do a general video of the entire road trip, which, by the way, was awesome. We did over 3,000 miles in 8 days in the 2022 Tesla Model X. And it was phenomenal. My 17-year-old son drove a little bit. We had fun. It was my wife, my daughter, my son, and myself. We were checking out colleges. He wanted to see Chicago University and Carnegie Mellon. So instead of flying, we said, we're going to drive. And that trip was phenomenal. I just want to focus on this little bit right now, in case anybody else is having those errors. So you can see what I was going through, sort of what the service center was telling me. I still have to bring the car in. They want to check the computer now and go through those logs and see if they can fix things from there. So that's where we're at now. I'm going to show you the videos. I'm going to try to keep it condensed. I'll try to keep it to like the 10 to 12 minutes. I don't know. There's lots of video there. I'll do my best. And then we'll go from there. We'll do the overall video next week, which, again, the trip was phenomenal. If you are going to take a road trip in your Tesla, I don't care if it's a 3, a Y, an X, or an S, it's phenomenal. I love stopping at the superchargers and meeting people, talking with people. Other than the errors that we're getting, it was great. In regards to the errors, I know Tesla's going to fix this. I don't want anybody to take this video as I'm bashing Tesla or I'm upset with Tesla. I'm not. I love my car. It is phenomenal. Best car I've ever owned, even with the glitches. And I look at it as I look at a new laptop or one of my computers. You know, there could be issues and we fix them. That's it. This is new tech. This is amazing tech, and I am grateful to Elon Musk and Tesla for putting it together and forcing the car industry to start changing and doing this. So with that said, let's get into it. This first clip is going to show you when my son was like, hey, Dad, you need to look at this. The seats were moving, the yoke was moving, and by the time I got my camera on, you could see what I saw. Enjoy. I just noticed that we have lots of errors going off here. Pull over immediately. We're at the supercharger. The screen just rebooted itself. Look at this. It's running, cycling through all of these messages. The screen just rebooted again. So it seems to only happen when we supercharge. Look, that one's now rebooting. There we go. Everything is, but it's still charging. So not really sure what's going on there. And now I just got a message. Your car suffered a full failure and will not continue to drive. I just got a picture of that. I just got that through the app. So that's interesting. But as we're looking, it's still charging. Charging about 150 kilowatts, down from 200 and change. Still looks like it's going up here. Yep, it's still charging. So we'll see. We're going to get up to about 65%, and we're going to take off and head to the next charging station, see what happens. Never seen that before. My car's possessed. Someone failed. Okay, so a little update from Des Moines. The car started throwing some serious errors, so we had to call service and diagnostic, and they're actually sending somebody out now. The over-the-phone diagnostic said there were some things that needed to be updated and tweaked. They said there's a bit of a breaking in period, and so I guess they're gonna send a tow to bring us over to Urbandale, Iowa, which is about 11 miles away. They sent us an Uber voucher, because there's 4 of us. Obviously, we can't all fit in the tow truck, so that could be a couple of hours. Might have to reformat, reboot the software. They said it could be some sensors that are throwing some issues, so we need to check that. Could be some fluids. Those are the 3 options that they told me so far. But right now, the car, though it's not dead in the water, it keeps being like a demon possessed. It's even to the point where it's moving the seat, the yoke, the music comes blaring on. It's been possessed. So we're just waiting on the tow, which should be here any moment, and then we'll get the Uber going, and we'll get on over to Urbandale and see what it is. I'll let you know more then. So at Tesla Service Center now in Urbandale, where we're trying to figure out what's wrong with the car. We didn't wait for the tow. We let it cool down. My theory was that something was getting too hot, so we let it cool down a little bit. The errors went away, and we were able to get it over here. And it's a brand new service center, so that's pretty cool. We got everybody attending to us, so we'll figure out in a little while what's going wrong, and we'll let you know. Okay, so we have left the service center in Urbandale, which, what time is it now? 3:53. We got there about 11 o'clock, so we're behind schedule now. What are we, 4.5 hours in? They said that it was a firmware issue, that the car left with the firmware from the factory, and there was a firmware mismatch. That's what they said. So they had to reformat and put everything back on. So we'll see what it's like. Our next stop is a supercharger, and we'll see how it goes from there. But for right now, everything looks good, and we'll just go from there. All right, so we are at the Altoona supercharger, and now we are going to try to see if this works after today's debacle. All right, we got the charging. We'll push the button. Hey, it works. It opens. Look at that. So they fixed that. So we'll get that in. We'll get that charging. And then we'll see if there's any errors like we had before when it went crazy. But let's see what we're charging at here. Oh, there it goes. 150, about 150 kilowatts per hour, 536 miles per hour added. And we'll see if we get any errors. Oh yeah. And white screen of death. So they said they fixed it. However, as you can see, very next supercharger, we are maybe 10 minutes into it and it's going crazy again. Look at this. But the one thing that doesn't change is it continues to charge me money. Doesn't matter what it says over here. It continues to, they can collect the cash, but the car says, oh, we can't charge, we can't do this. This is going to be a long trip. And we were 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away from being almost charged, and now it says 35. So, and now the navigation system again, which is one of the issues they said we were having, is offline. So it's not fixed. The firmware that they said that they fixed is not fixed. I'm sorry if that's blurry. I'm taking it with my phone. We'll see when we get underway again. Okay, so I'm doing a soft reboot again after that little charade, and we'll see if that comes back and if that clears those errors that we had. Right now the navigation wasn't connecting. Again, they said they fixed this with a firmware update, but obviously it's not fixed. So maybe tomorrow in Chicago I'll be able to get it into a service center there, and I can get that fixed, because it's every time we supercharge. Every time we take it to a supercharger and we're plugged in for 5 or 10 minutes, we start getting errors. So we'll see what that's all about. Let's see if the system comes back. Steering wheel is locked. Usually it's loose. This time it's locked. That's different. Still got some lights going on in there, so I'm guessing the 12-volt battery is still active. Hazard light is still active. Still not coming back. There we go. Main screen is back, coming back on. And middle screen is back on. Showing the tail open, that's good. 72% charge, good. Let's check the navigation. It says it's trying to find superchargers for the trip. However, it doesn't seem to be connecting to anything. Charging at just about 92 kilowatts. Alright, I'm gonna check the app. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so this is day 2 of our service center woes. Yesterday we were in Des Moines. Today we're in Chicago. It's about 3 o'clock. They keep telling me that it's a firmware issue in the Model X and that they have to contact engineers in California to get some updated firmware. I just got another update about half hour ago. They said that the car is overheating at the superchargers, which is why it's throwing all the errors, etc. So they said this new firmware update should fix that. Don't know. Got to tell you, 4 hours yesterday and we're going on 5 hours today, so hopefully they'll get this resolved. I'll get this video up as soon as I get back to the hotel, and I'll show you all the errors that were being thrown, and I'll let you know what the outcome of it is today. So that's what we're at. Okay, I'm gonna quickly end it there. By the time we finished Chicago, we were getting the same errors. They were much smaller. They were never to the extreme that we were getting when we were in Urbandale. You know, the critical, brakes are overheating, the engine is overheating, we're shutting the car down. Nothing that serious after that. However, after every supercharge, we would have to do a soft reboot. We would get a few errors, left, right restraint errors, the tire pressure error, the emergency braking error. And every once in a while we'd get the yoke would light up red, even though your hands are on it and you're applying pressure. So even though we were still getting the errors, they weren't as much. So I think, both service centers did something. Now, Chicago is also the largest service center in the Midwest. I mean, these guys see everything. They were super helpful. Actually, both service centers were super helpful. Everybody that was there was super helpful. Big shout out to Payman. Next time, come up and say hi to me, man. He was there at the Chicago Service Center, and he sent me an email afterwards going, "Hey, I think I saw you there, and I subscribed to your channel. So, hey, you see me? Come up, say hi, man. I'd love to meet you." Everybody was so helpful. And again, though the trip had a couple of these problems, overall, if I have to rate this trip on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 9. And the only reason why it's not a 10 is because I did have to spend 9-10 hours in service centers, and it's a bit disconcerting at first when you have to reboot doing 75 miles an hour down the highway, but after a while you get used to it, and it just happens, and you keep moving forward. Adapt, overcome, and thrive. That's what you have to do in this situation. I'm not going to let those little minor things get me down. It's an awesome car. We had a great time on this road trip. One of I would say the single best road trip our family has ever had. So next week, I'm going to put together the entire road trip, but this was just about the errors. Any comments that you have, that's great. I'd love to hear from you. Any suggestions that you have, love to hear from you. And I will let you know what happens when we get to the Loveland, Colorado Service Center and they pull the computer. That's going to be a couple of weeks because I'm off to Cancun in a couple of days. So I'm going to relax a little bit. But we'll put together these the trip video. And I'd love to hear from you. Anything you want to see, anything about the car that I can film or video for you, please let me know. I want to share all of these experiences with you. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. Peace, and have a great week.